Yes, 8th class, again we gathered here for the discussion of new chapter, that is weavers, iron smelters and factory owners. Dear student, this is a chapter 7 of history. And in this chapter we are going to discuss about the condition of the weavers and industrialists at that time, and what types of products they were used to make and sell in the market, and how the Britishers, they turned themselves from purchasing from just selling the purchasing the things from here, and they turned into started the selling of things in India. Why it was so? Because of the industrialization. Dear students, you know that first of all, the industrialization, it came in Great Britain, and the Britishers, those who came here to sell the spices uh, here, or to collect the things from here, means to spices and other things, they collect it from here and sell it in the market of Britain. Later on, when the industrialization was there in Britain, so they started selling their clothes here in this market. So this is a story of the crafts and industries of India during British rule, by focusing on two industries, and they are mainly textile and iron and steel. Both these industries were crucial for the industrial revolution in the modern world. Nowadays also these two industries are very much crucial, dear students. Mechanized production of cotton textiles made Britain the foremost industrial nation in the 19th century. Because, as I have told you, first of all, the industrialization was there in Britain. And when its iron and steel industry started growing from the 1850, Britain came to be known as the workshop of the world. Why it was so? Because first of all, the textile, then the iron and steel industry were introduced there. The industrialization of Britain has a close connection with the conquest and colonization of India. You have already read that how the East India Company, they started a trading here, and later on how they started purchasing the territories here or winning the territories here. In the last 18th century, the company was buying goods in India and exporting them to England and Europe, and only through making profits from this industrialization. And later on, and making profit from this trade, and later on, when the industrialists began to see the India as a vast market because of the industrial production, they started flooding India with all their goods manufactured from Britain. Yes, my dear students, earlier they were here to purchase the things, and later on, when their industrialization was introduced, was there in Britain, so they started, because a large number of production was there, so they started searching new markets in that at that time. So that's why they just see India as a vast market for their all of their industrial products. Now, Indian textile in the world market. Yes, my dear students, you will be surprised to know that at that time India was one of the world's largest producer of cotton textile and spices, famous for its spices also. Not only then, nowadays also, the Indian cotton is very much popular and famous in other countries also. So, Indian textile had long been renowned both of their fine quality and exquisite craftsmanship. From the 16th century, European trading companies began buying Indian textiles for sale in the market. But memories of this flourishing trade and the craftsmanship of Indian weavers is preserved in many words still current in English and other language. So many of the persons, they have written about the Indian craftsmen. European traders first when they came here and saw the fine cotton cloth in India, and from India carried by the Arab merchants in Mosul in present day Iraq. So they started calling that woven textile as muslin. Dear students, nowadays also these cotton fabrics are still famous, and not only in India, still they are having a good market in other countries also. And many of the uh, different types of cotton cloths, they were introduced at that time. They were people that preferred to purchase at that time. They were the one of the I'm just highlighting all that things. The muslin, okay. Next is the calico. Yes, it calico also became the general name for all the cotton textiles. So many other Indian textiles in Western markets, they were very much popular at that time. If you see a page of an order book, then the English East India Company sent to their representatives in Calcutta in 1730. So many order was placed at that time. The pieces here, the 5,89,000 pieces of clothes were ordered on that year. And at that time 98 varieties of cotton and silk clothes were there. And usually the woven cloth pieces were 20 yards long and 1 yard wide. The only thing that the Indian textile was very much famous of cotton and silk. Now look at the names. Okay, if you look at the picture, the names of the different varieties of cloth in the book, and the rates are also mentioned in that. I know the picture is not very much cleared. Okay, the pieces ordered in bulk were printed cotton clothes called chintz. So one of the more cotton cloth, calico, cotton, now chintz. Bandhana, that is used to dye the cotton cloth in Rajasthan also. A cloth with where does a chintz it come from? The cloth with small and colorful flowery design. From the 1680, they started a craze for printed Indian cotton textile in England and Europe mainly. So it was mainly used for the floral designs, fine texture, and relative. It was cheap. So rich people of England, including Queen herself, wore clothes from Indian fabrics. So dear students, now remember this thing, that the rich people of England, I'm highlighting this line, of England, including the Queen herself, wore clothes of Indian fabric. Always the people, they just run about the imported things before the imported things. Now you will be surprised to know that cotton cloth still is having good market. As I've told you, in earlier time also, the people from England, they wanted to purchase, even they purchased the clothes from India. So bandhana, it was referred to any brightly colored and printed scarf for the neck or head, and this is the printed colored and scarf for the neck or head. And this is a term derived from the word bandhana, as I'm to trying Hindi for tying and dyeing in Hindi, tie and dyeing. It's a name of the bandhana, which I have told you that it is still used in Rajasthan side also. Look, here it is, tying and dyeing. It's a method to dye the cloth. Now these were other clothes here. If you want to see that many of the printed, it's a example of the bandhana. Here printed design of cloth of chintz. It's example of chintz. It's example of bandhana. So like this, different types of clothes, they were introduced at that time, or different types of cotton, which is very much famous at that time. Indian textiles in European market. By the early 18th century, worried by the popularity of Indian textile, wool and silk markets in England, and at that time when Indian markets, Indian craftsmen were very famous at that time, so the England, they began protesting against the import of the Indian cotton, or you can say the Indian textile. And in 1720 the British government banned the use of printed cotton textile chintz in England. This act was known as the Calico Act. Again, one more question can be there. What is Calico Act? In this act, the use of printed cottons, chintz, banned in England. Banned in England. So, at this textile industries had just begun to develop in England, unable to compete with Indian textile. That's why, to secure their markets, the English producer, they asked their country to stop the import of Indian textiles. So naturally the competition was over, and the England industries, they were easily sell their things in their market. In 1764, the spinning jenny was invented by John Kay, which increased the productivity of the traditional spindles. It was a machine by which a single worker could operate several spindles. Spindles means like the candles on which the thread was spun. This is the spindle means like candles, some pins were there on which the thread was spun, and by turning the wheel, all the spindles, they rotate. And because only one person, they were able to rotate the spinning jenny, so it will be easier for them to increase the production of the cloth. However, Indian textile continued to dominate the world trade till the end of the 18th century. European trading companies, the Dutch, French and the English, made many profits, enormous profit out of this flourishing trade. So these companies purchased cotton and silk textile in India by importing silver. So they also import gold and silver from the Britain, and then they purchase the things from here. And this I have already discussed in our previous chapter of history, that English East India Company, they purchase the thing with the help of gold and silver. Later on, as I've told you, that the East India Company, they control the Bengal after the Battle of Plassey. Now the Britishers, now they need no gold or silver to purchase these things. They directly took the money from Bengal, and then directly they purchased the things from Indian markets. So dear student, this is all for the day, and next we will discuss in our next video.